Smoke curled above neon diners. Jukeboxes hummed. Chrome cars gleamed beneath gas station lights. And in almost every American hand, there was a cigarette. For decades, cigarettes weren't just tobacco, they were a part of the nation's rhythm. They hung from the lips of movie stars, soldiers, mechanics, and mothers at kitchen tables. Their brands were more than names. They were memories, moods, and moments in time. But one by one, those brands disappeared, like the smoke they once made famous. Tonight, we're not lighting a cigarette, we're lighting a memory. This is the story of 10 vanished cigarette brands that only true Americans remember. 1. Lucky Strike. The soldier's smoke. Before filtered cigarettes, there was Lucky Strike. Bold, simple, and unmistakably American. During World War II, GIs carried Lucky Strikes in their rations. The green packs turned white to save wartime paint. It wasn't just a cigarette, it was a comfort, a reminder of home across oceans and battlefields. When those soldiers came back, they brought Lucky Strike with them, into corner bars, backyards, and ball games. Its slogan, LSMFT, Lucky Strike means fine tobacco, echoed from every radio. For a generation, it was the taste of victory and youth. But by the late 20th century, new brands and new fears pushed it aside. Still, for those who remember, that green and white circle is more than packaging. It's a time capsule from America's greatest generation. Chesterfield. Cool before cool existed. Long before the word cool belonged to rock and roll, it belonged to Chesterfield. Frank Sinatra sang with one in hand. Lucille Ball laughed through its smoke on live television. It wasn't just a cigarette, it was an attitude. Smooth, charming, confident. Its ads didn't sell tobacco, they sold charisma. They satisfy, the slogan said, and Americans believed it. From jazz clubs to movie sets, Chesterfield became a silent co-star, the smoke that framed the smiles of post-war America. But when filtered cigarettes took over, Chesterfield's unfiltered boldness began to fade. By the 1980s, the brand that once ruled billboards and movie screens had nearly vanished. Yet every time we see an old black and white photo with a perfect smile and a puff of smoke, we're reminded that Chesterfield once defined what cool really meant. 3. Old Gold. The taste of the Roaring Twenties. Old Gold wasn't for everyone, and that's exactly how it wanted it. It was a luxury cigarette, a brand for the jazz crowd, the flapper generation, and the dreamers of the 1920s. Its golden pack promised something rich and daring, something that matched the sound of a saxophone and the sparkle of sequins. In smoky speakeasies, Old Golds burned slowly as laughter echoed over glasses of gin. Even its slogan, "Not a cough in a carload," felt cheeky, confident, alive. By the time the war years arrived, though, Americans had new worries, and Old Gold's glitter dimmed. Still, when you picture a 1920s dance hall or an Art Deco theater, it's easy to imagine someone lighting an Old Gold. It was the cigarette of America's first generation that truly lived for the moment, and for the style. 4. Viceroy. The modern promise. In the 1950s, America believed in the future. Jet engines, atomic power, and clean design. Viceroy was the cigarette for that era of optimism. It was the first with a filter, the healthy way to smoke in a world that still didn't understand what was coming. Its ads showed smiling doctors, sharp suits, and shiny cars. Viceroy represented progress, a symbol that America could have it all: taste, technology, and peace of mind. But progress has a price. When the truth about cigarettes began to emerge, Viceroy's modern image collapsed overnight. By the 1970s, its futuristic promise had turned to dust. Still, in the gleam of a chrome diner or the hum of an old TV commercial, you can almost hear the optimism of a time when America still believed the future was filtered and flawless. 5. Parliament. Smoke for the sophisticated. If Lucky Strike was for the soldier, Parliament was for the city man. With its recessed filter and crisp white packaging, Parliament was elegant, the cigarette you smoked in a tailored suit or beside a martini glass. It was advertised in glossy magazines, placed in the hands of movie stars and models. The recessed tip was meant to keep lipstick stains away, but what it really did was create a symbol of class. Lighting a Parliament meant you'd arrived, or at least wanted to look like you had. From Manhattan cocktail lounges to Miami hotels, It whispered quiet sophistication. But as America grew less formal, so did its habits. When the dinner jackets disappeared, so did the parliaments. Yet its clean design still reminds us of a time when even the smallest puff was an act of style. 6. Pall Mall, the gentleman's choice. Wherever particular people congregate, Pall Mall declared, and for decades they did. This was the cigarette of professors, poets, and thinkers. It was long, elegant, and unhurried, like the men who smoked it. In the 1940s and 50s, Pall Mall ads painted smoking as a refined ritual, not a habit. It was the mark of the man who read the newspaper with his morning coffee and discussed philosophy over scotch at night. But when Marlboro and Winston brought cowboy grit and TV jingles, Pall Mall's quiet sophistication was drowned out. By the time filters ruled the market, Pall Mall had become a relic. Still, the name carries a sense of dignity, a reminder of an America that once prized conversation, civility, and calm. 7. Tareyton, the fighter's brand. I'd rather fight than switch. The slogan was everywhere. Tareyton smokers wore fake black eyes in ads, proudly refusing to trade brands. It was fun, defiant, and full of personality. Everything America loved in the 1960s. Tareyton didn't sell tobacco. It sold loyalty. It made smoking an act of pride, a declaration of identity. For years, that black eye campaign was one of the most recognizable in America. But as health warnings grew louder, the joke wore thin. By the 1980s, the laughter faded, and Tareyton disappeared. Still, for those who remember it, that slogan isn't just marketing. It's a time capsule from an era when even a cigarette could have attitude. Kent, the tragic innovation. When Kent arrived in the 1950s, it promised something revolutionary. The micronite filter, said to make smoking safer. Doctors appeared in white coats. Families smiled in print ads. It was science meeting smoke, a dream of safety wrapped in cellophane. But later, the truth came out. The filter contained asbestos. That revelation shattered trust, not just in Kent, but in the entire idea of a safe cigarette. For a brand that began as a symbol of innovation, it ended as one of America's most haunting mistakes. Today, Kent is remembered not for what it sold, but for what it symbolized, a warning that not every promise of progress is worth the price. 9. L&M, the television star. When television was new, so was L&M. Its commercials beamed into millions of homes with catchy jingles and smiling faces. Just what the doctor ordered, they sang, and people believed them. L&M was the first cigarette of the TV generation, backed by doctors, actors, and even cartoon characters. It wasn't just a smoke, it was entertainment. But when the government banned cigarette ads from TV in 1971, L&M's lifeline was cut. Without its screen time, its fame faded fast. Yet those vintage commercials still live online, cheerful, catchy, and haunting. They remind us of a time when America still trusted what it saw on the screen, even when it shouldn't have. 10. Raleigh, the reward smoke. Raleigh turned smoking into a game of rewards. Each pack came with coupons, tokens of loyalty you could trade for real gifts. Toasters, clocks, even furniture, all earned through smoke. It was marketing genius, a perfect reflection of America's earn your reward spirit. Families collected coupons like treasure, waiting for the next reward catalog. But when attitudes toward smoking changed, Raleigh's promise began to feel out of step. The brand that once made smoking a family affair quietly disappeared. Still, those little coupons remain a charming reminder of a time when even the smoke had a prize attached. They were more than cigarettes. They were symbols of confidence, rebellion, romance, and youth. Today, their ads are banned, their signs are gone, and their names nearly forgotten. But for those who lived through it, each puff carried a story of first loves, late nights, and a country learning who it was. Because sometimes, remembering America means remembering even the smoke that shaped it.